Steadfast Defender 24 will be a clear demonstration of our unity, our strength, and our determination to protect each other, to protect, of course, our values and the rules-based international order, with participation from approximately 90,000 forces from all 31 allies, plus our good partner, Sweden. The alliance will demonstrate its ability to reinforce the Euro-Atlantic area via transatlantic movement of forces from North America. This reinforcement will occur during a simulated emerging conflict scenario against a near-peer adversary.
Steadfast Defender 24. Are you guys ready for this? Welcome back, everyone. My name is Jimmy Boyd. You're watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I've got some news here for you. As you can see here, Steadfast Defender 24. This is a major military exercise, probably the largest that NATO has held since the Cold War. More than 90,000 personnel are going to be attending this from 31 different nations, as you can see there in that video, along with Sweden. Okay, Sweden's going to be joining as well, even though they're not a NATO member yet. But they are being fast-tracked to join, hopefully by July, I believe. They're going to be official NATO members. So, very interesting what's going on here. Large exercise, all at the same time when Ukraine is struggling with this war. And there's a lot of talk about potential of Ukraine losing this war even, too. So, I think it's interesting that they're doing this. And I know that NATO is just preparing for the worst. We've had reports coming out saying that we need to expect Ukraine to deliver terrible news, basically. And what is that terrible news? I don't know. Is it going to be that Ukraine loses the war? Is it going to be that, they don't have any troops to fight the war and they need NATO to fight it for them? I don't know what that news will be, but there is some scary news coming out in terms of that. So I have an article here I want to go over with you guys. And also just to let you know, if you're wondering who that was in that video, that was NATO's Supreme Allied Commander, U.S. General Christopher Cavoli. Okay, so yeah, very interesting, guys. We'll see how this exercise goes. And I believe it's going to be lasting for several months. So it's a pretty big exercise, guys. So let's go ahead and get into this article here. NATO holds its biggest exercises in decades next week, involving around 90,000 personnel. That's huge. That's a lot of troops right there. NATO will launch its biggest military exercises in decades next week, with around 90,000 personnel set to take part in months of drills aimed at showing the alliance can defend all of its territory up to its border with Russia, top officers said Thursday. The exercises come as Russia's war on Ukraine bogs down. NATO as an organization is not directly involved in the conflict, except to supply Kiev with non-lethal support, although many member countries send weapons and ammunition individually or in groups and provide military training. So right now, Ukraine is getting a lot of aid again. They're not getting as much as they used to, but they have, Zelensky's been traveling to the Baltics. He just went to the World Economic Forum. We heard that France is going to be supplying them with, I believe, artillery. And we have the UK supplying them with drones. Tons of drones, actually, thousands of them. And the Baltics are going to be supplying some ammunition for Ukraine as well, along with aid and money as well. So in the months before President Vladimir Putin ordered Russian troops into Ukraine in February 2022, NATO began beefing up security on its eastern flank with Russia and Ukraine. It's the alliance's biggest buildup since the Cold War. The war games are meant to deter Russia from targeting a member country. They are very worried about that. If you guys didn't know, I put out a video just a couple days ago about some German military documents that were leaked, and supposedly they are proving that Germany, along with many other European countries, are potentially preparing for conflict with Russia here in the near term. I'm talking in the next year or so, and potentially sooner than that, maybe even before the election by the end of this year. So I think it's interesting. Again, they're still talking about that. which is obvious. The exercises, dubbed Steadfast Defender 24, will show that NATO can conduct and sustain complex, multi-domain operations over several months across thousands of kilometers, from the high north to Central and Eastern Europe, and in any condition, the 31-nation organization said. Troops will be moving to and through Europe until the end of May in what NATO describes as a simulated emerging, here it is right here, simulated emerging conflict scenario with near-peer adversary. Near-peer, guys, that means Russia, that means terrorist groups, and as you can see here, terrorist organizations in the Middle East. Obviously, we have issues going on down there with Hezbollah and the Houthis and Hamas. Israel's down there fighting Hamas right now. And there's lots of ramping up with these countries, especially even with Iran and Pakistan right now, where there's a potential of any of these countries to create some sort of like terrorist attack on NATO or European country. So NATO is preparing for that, and that's why they're getting these war games together and doing these drills to get ready for a potential war, not only against Russia, but potentially against a terrorist organization or someone in the Middle East. So the alliance will demonstrate its ability to reinforce the Euro-Atlantic area via transatlantic movement of forces from North America. NATO's Supreme Allied Commander, U.S. General Christopher Cavoli, told reporters. Cavoli said, "It will demonstrate our unity, our strength, and our determination to protect each other." The chair of the NATO Military Committee, Admiral Rob Bauer, said that it's a record number of troops that we can bring to bear and have an exercise within that size across the alliance, across the ocean, from U.S. to Europe. Bauer described it as a big change compared to troop numbers exercising just a year ago. Sweden, which is expected to join NATO this year, will also take part. Here's a big one here too. UK Defense Secretary Grant Shapps has said that the government in London would send 20,000 troops, guys, with advanced fighter jets, surveillance planes, warships, and submarines, with many being deployed in Eastern Europe from February to June. Okay, so 20,000 troops. That's a lot. That's a good majority of the 90,000 being sent. So what is the UK preparing for? Obviously, they're very concerned about war with Russia as well. If they're sending 20,000 troops to go do these war games, guys, it's a big deal. And, we'll have to see what happens here after they do these drills. A lot of people speculate as well that these drills are not really exercises. They are preparation for war. And in some cases, sometimes these drills are held right before a war or in preparation to set up for a coming war soon after. So very interesting again that they're doing this at this time. But yeah, 90,000 personnel. This is a huge, huge military exercise, guys. I can't stress it more than that. So, keep your heads on a swivel and just be prepared for anything, because we've got many of these NATO top officials coming out and warning people. I just put out a video earlier. NATO's Admiral Rob Bauer, he was speaking about basically telling civilians to prepare for war, have basic supplies, have a flashlight, battery, things like that. It was literally just released in my last video today, so if you guys want to go check that out, go for it. And, he's got some good information there to warn people. And not only do we have warnings from these NATO officials, we've got warnings from defense ministers from different countries, from Sweden, from the UK. So, obviously they're doing this big exercise for a reason. NATO, along with so many other countries, are concerned about potential war with Russia and the Middle East with what's going on right now. So time will tell. We'll have to see whether there will be a war, but definitely they're preparing for something big here. This is 90,000 troops. That's a huge amount of troops if you really think about it. That's a lot. So this is going to be held for several months as well. It's not going to be held for just a week or 2 weeks. This is going to be for several months. They're going to be practicing. So what are they practicing for? Obviously, they're practicing for war, because war is most likely coming, and I've been warning everybody about that, and there's a high potential for it. So make sure you guys are prepared for that. should anything happen. That'll be it for this video. That's the latest update I have on this NATO exercise going to be held. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you guys all in the next one. Have a great day. Take care and God bless.